All right, welcome to the second half of this evening's live stream. In the first half of the live stream, which is already which you can download or watch now on YouTube, you get to watch the lesson that I already gave before my live stream crashed. Now we're going to continue with the live stream. Wrong button. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. If you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon Tatooine under the guidance of the non-corporeal Qui-Gon Jinn, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Good news! If at any point during this evening's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Now, if you're watching on a laptop or a desktop, that chat window should be on the right. However, if you're watching on a smartphone, it should be down below. So together as a team, let's chant this evening's selection from the first Dzogchen text, the vast expanse of Vajrasattva, which is attributed to Gaurab Dorje. It was translated from the Tibetan into the English by Yeshe Donden, and adapted as well as amplified by yours truly. This is a copy. Excellent. And we're off. Together. Some meditators strive to put their minds into a thought-free state, thinking this gives them access to something subtle. So it is not in any school of thought. There's going to be people who get it and people who don't. There's going to be teachers who get it and teachers who don't. Remember, Sturgeon's law states that 90% of everything is crap, including meditation teachers. And there are some teachers who teach thought suppression and emotion suppression, but Buddha was not one of those. Neither was the founder of Dzogchen, Gaurab Dorje. Together, they isolate themselves in lonely places. Examine closely, this is seen to be a form of conceptual meditation. So, beware of the austerity of solitude. You see, we evolved to thrive in cooperation. We have near the center of our brain, a little bit in front of it, a little bit above it, is a hunk of tissue known as the anterior cingulate gyrus. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons. It serves as the seat of empathy. And just as the dopamine-oriented reward cycle helps to ensure, it tends to reward drinking, eating, finding shelter, and copulating with pleasure, the oxytocin-oriented reward system tends to reward empathy and cooperation with fulfillment, which is entirely different than simply pleasure, the pleasure of dopamine. So we are wired to interface with our fellow beings. Now, there is a very small minority who thrive in solitude, and that's great. But the majority of us need people, and that doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us unspiritual. That is simply how the majority of us evolved. So beware of those who insist that the desire for the human experience is weakness. We need people. Let's continue. Thinking in terms of causes and results, such seekers strive to transcend this world. They reject the bad and accept the good. Although non-dual wisdom already transcends dualities like bad and good. So this is an often misunderstood passage. It doesn't mean it's perfectly fine to fire up the chainsaw and chase our neighbors with it. I would implore you not to do that. The fringe benefit of a healthy meditation practice is that it creates centered spontaneity. The Dzogchen masters have taught that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. The fringe benefit of a healthy meditation practice is that our centered spontaneity acts like a mighty river upon which our choices and our utterances and our deeds float. Let's continue. Clinging and indifference are concepts so to echo like is anything in between. Let's go back to the non-dual wisdom. So we sometimes, in our enthusiasm, indulge our controlling tendencies that can manifest as being perfectionistic and just trying to put overly specific labels on things. For instance, some circumstances are advantageous, others are disadvantageous. But if we simply label them as circumstance, we will have transcended duality. Sometimes we feel pleasure, sometimes we feel pain. But if we label both pleasure and pain as feelings or sensations, we will be practicing non-duality. Sometimes we feel intimacy with people, sometimes we feel strife, but if we simply label that as interpersonal, we will be practicing non-duality. So whether our emotions are pleasurable or painful, whether our intentions are constructive or destructive, whether our thoughts are pleasurable or painful, whether our memories are pleasurable or painful, whether our imaginings are pleasurable or painful, if we simply choose simplicity and label them merely as emotions or intentions or thoughts or memories or imaginings, we will have transcended duality, and that'll make life much easier. Now, the goal of that is not to lie to ourselves about what we're feeling, but to create a circumstance where it's easier to let go of both the pleasure as well as the pain. Now, let go here doesn't mean shove away. It means make peace with something, so we don't have to squander our time and energy forever living in resistance. Together. Clinging and indifference are concepts so to echo like is anything in between. So our job is to notice what we're experiencing as we breathe in, to relax into what we're breathing as we breathe out, to relax into what we're experiencing as we breathe out, without worrying about labeling things. Joy and sorrow will rise from the same source, so declares Vajrasattva, for refuge of all. So once again, we're exploring non-duality. Joy and sorrow, we experience joy and sorrow in our bodies and in our minds. So if we busy ourselves simply with noticing and relaxing in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation by relying upon our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, everything will work out fine because we'll be cultivating love's centered spontaneity, which will help us to go with the flow in the most wonderful way. Where else could aversion, attachment, and anger arise, except from the luminous energy of mind? Objects of pleasure are also just this, formulations of the energy of the light of wisdom. As we breathe in, we experience the coarser aspect of phenomena. As we relax into our exhalation, all that we experienced during our previous inhalation can begin to feel as non-graspable as if they were comprised of light. Now, it's not our job to get lost in pseudo-intellectualism. It's not our job to get lost in rigid faith. It's our job simply to play with the perception and release inherent in our 2 cycles of breath. Nice. Okay. We turn now to this evening's practice text. Excuse me, due to excessive post-nasal drip, this voice is a bit weak tonight. Before we start meditating, let's take a moment to recite or to perform the concise recitation of bodhicitta and refuge, that we might better exercise the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. Together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. I apologize if I have a boo-boo face. I'm simply very tired from yesterday's medical adventures. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, including Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekcho. The key to mindfulness is to remember that during each inhalation, due to our sympathetic nervous system, we have evolved to perceive, not actively concentrate, but perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. And to perceive, and we'll get back to that in a second. Therefore, during each inhalation, it's entirely appropriate to silently and mentally recite the verb watch. What do we do with all that we perceive? We meditate upon it. And how do we do that? Well, every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we have evolved to physically relax and mentally release. Therefore, during each exhalation, it is entirely appropriate to silently and mentally recite the verb feel. This is best exemplified by the iconography of Kuntu Zangpo Yabyum. Consider the woman the color of a white cumulus cloud. As she considered this couple, their nudity reminds us that the key to mindfulness is to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Their translucence reminds us that every time we exhale and relax, that which we had noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it was comprised only of light. Their beauty reminds us that this mindfulness and meditation gives birth to love's centered spontaneity. The abandon with which this woman sports, this woman the color of a cumulus cloud, reminds us of mind. Reminds us that during the inhalation, we are to watch the play of mind, or rather we are wired to watch the play of mind. What are some of the antics of mind? Mind watches and hears and feels and tastes and smells and the like. Mind also emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, imagines, and confabulates. The stability with which her partner sits reminds us that every time we exhale, we are wired to relax into the nature, the non-graspable nature of mind. So we have the play of mind and the nature of mind. This is not something that we theorize. This is not something we believe, but something we experience simply due to the sympathetic nervous system that we access during inhalation and the parasympathetic nervous system we access during exhalation. So together, let us meditate for a short period this evening, a relatively short period. It was Tulku Tandup who taught me to watch the play of mind. And it was Chagdud Tulku who taught me to relax into the nature of mind. Let us seal this evening's practice with a chant from a different text. Together. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that each may be empathetic, centered, and spontaneous. Excuse me. If you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window. You could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could share it with a friend. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation lesson and group practice. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.